皆様こんばんは。本日はご参加いただきありがとうございます。お時間になりましたので、今日のウェビナー早速始めさせていただきたいと思います。本日はですね、シンガポールインスティテュート・オブ・マネジメントからですね、リクルートメント担当のアドリアナさんと、タン教授さんが来てくれてますので、プレゼンテーションですね、進めさせていただきたいと思います。ウェビナーの最後にですね、質問、Q&A のコーナーもお取りさせていただきますので、何かご質問ございましたら、アンミュートもしくはチャットの方に入れていただければと思います。では、よろしくお願いします。Thank you, Adriana, Dr. Tan. Can we start?
Yes, thank you. Yes. Right. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Tan Khay Boon. I'm the Associate Dean from the Academic Division of Singapore Institute of Management Global Education. It is indeed a pleasure to be able to share with you the topic on investing in a business qualification. Okay. Been a lecturer for more than 30 years in polytechnics and universities, School of Business. Okay. I have been exposed to business qualifications, and during this period, I've interacted with many students who have the interest to pursue business qualification from the diploma level and at the degree level. So my topic will want to involve, in the first place, why want to invest in a business qualification? What kind of value does it bring to you? And if you don't have a business qualification, can you still be successful in a corporate world? Okay. And then the second area is, if you want to invest in a business education, which are the areas that normally will be included in a business education and why these areas are important? Okay, then we'll follow by questions and answer. If you do have any query, I'll be very happy to address your query. Now, in the first place, in any economy, business activities are important. Companies are created to sell goods and services to the people, which meet the daily requirements of the consumers. So in this process, it will help to create wealth as well as promote prosperities for the owner of the companies and those who are involved in the business operations. And that effectively can bring dynamism and strength for further growth in typical economies. So if you have a business qualification, there are certain advantages. First is that you will know the business operation better. And therefore, if you join a company in a corporate world, it will help you to adapt better so that you have the correct expectations when you join the company. And because of the knowledge you have, it will help you to develop the managerial competency. Normally, when you join a company, you hope to move to a management level and eventually become the decision maker in the company. So because of this type of knowledge in the business qualification helps you to excel, help you to, in a way, cultivates the competency for you to perform well in the business environment. Now, some of you may have the intention to set up your own company, to become an entrepreneur in the future. So again, business qualification is also very helpful to an entrepreneur because you will have a better idea of what constitutes a business, what are the resources you need if you want to form a company, what are the things you need to look out for, what are the challenges, and that will help you to build a company and contribute towards a success running in a company. So for those who would want to be an entrepreneur eventually, it is also good to invest in a business qualification. In fact, nowadays, more and more students actually share with me that they have the intention to be their own company boss instead of be an employee of a company. Okay, I always advise them, it is always good to have a business qualification, even if you want to set up your own company. So what constitutes business qualification? Now, in typically any business, you must have a product. It could be a goods or a service that you want to sell to the people and which you believe that there is a demand for the product. That means people are willing to pay money to buy the good or the service that you provide. So if you have this idea, then the next thing is you must get the necessary resources, okay, in order to produce this product. Again, it can be a goods or service. Okay. And finally, once you're able to produce this product, then you will need to sell it to the customer. Okay. The main objective of a business is to make profit. Okay. Some may have other objectives such as to fulfill a certain social intention to serve the public, but in general, most business are run with the objective of making profit, which is nothing wrong because business are profit oriented. Everybody have a certain objective in mind. It's nothing wrong to pursue towards your objective. Okay, so long as you do it in a certain appropriate, ethical, and acceptable way by the society. Now, business activity will require you to do a lot of management, okay? Because you have to manage the resources in order to produce the product and then sell the product. And along the way, you have to solve many problems such as getting the funding to finance your operation. And after your product has been produced, you must let the customer know about your product, and that involves marketing, plus a lot of additional activities are needed to support the business functions. So it requires a lot of area, and all these areas combined together form a certain discipline or program which we normally call business studies, which give rise to a business qualification. So although it covers many diverse subjects, we can broadly then divide into functional area and supporting area in a typical business qualification. Now, functioning areas will include the most important part is manage the company operations. So you learn how to manage the business procedure. In order to produce a product, you must know the steps. And after you're producing the product, again, in order to make the product available to the customers, collect money from the customers, pay to the resources which you purchase in order to produce the product. All these require a huge amount of managing activities. Now, it is also a requirement to keep track of your transactions record. If you buy something from some supplier, you must record it down. If you sell something to the customer, again, you have to record it down because you are required to provide all this information to the government for the tax and audit purpose. Okay, and when you sell the product, you must, in the first place, attract consumers to buy from you, and that includes market your product. So again, you must know who are the people who might be interested in your product, how to reach them, and how to get them interested in your product so that they are willing to pay money to get your product. And a very important part is to run business, you need money in the first place as the working capital. You need money to buy the raw material. You need money to hire the worker. You need money to even apply for the necessary permit in order to run the company. Therefore, how do you obtain the money to finance your business operations? These are the broad functional areas. Now, let's go through them. First of all, management, the most important function of a company is to manage the resources in a company to ensure that the business operations are correctly and efficiently carried out. Now, among the resources, the most important part is always the human. Then the human element is the soul of a company. Okay? Get the correct people in the correct role, the company will have a high chance to achieve success. Okay? So managing human resources is always the number one task. Okay? Therefore, in the first place, when your business is being formed, among the operating procedures, you must fit the correct person to handle the correct task. Some people are more suitable for front end because they like to meet customers, but some people are more suitable at the back end because they like to produce the product. You have to make sure that you fit the correct people in the function in order to achieve efficiency. Okay, and usually there are subjects that cater to this area, such as managing human resources, organizational behavior, operations management. Different institutes may call all these subjects slightly differently, but usually it covers these few areas. Okay, let's go through them in greater detail. Okay. Now, human resource, as I say, is the critical part of the business operations. So you must know what type of people is needed for this particular function. And therefore, when you look for the people, you have to assess whether is this person able to fit into this function. Okay. Now, after hiring the person, how to have a good working relationship with this person, especially if this person is a good fit, how to retain him, because him or her, if he's a very capable person, elsewhere may want to employ the person. Therefore, how to retain the good employee, that requires you to have management skills. Okay, so typical human resource management will include the planning for the manpower needed, how to recruit the people, how to select the people, how to provide the training, how to cultivate talent, and how to manage all these talented people in your company. That includes give them attractive packages that is consistent with their performance. Therefore, you must know what type of performance you are expecting them to do so. And with their performance, come up with a suitable compensation and benefits to attract them to join you and to stay with you in your company. Workplace consists of many people. You have to make sure that the workplace is conducive for the people to work, therefore, and manage the workplace. Okay, so how to ensure that your workers are happy or can get along with the management that involve industrial relations, and workers also have their workers' right. Therefore, you will have to make sure that whatever you expect from the worker is legally allowed by the company law, okay, by the country's rules and regulations, and that requires you to be familiar with employment legislation. Okay, so the just to put it simply is to focus on the manpower needed in order to perform the function. Okay, attract the correct people, make sure the correct people can contribute towards the company by performing the tasks that they are suitable and capable to perform. Okay, that is the critical part of a company. Okay, now because the company involve many different process, so how to focus the efficiency, how to combine all these process together to make sure that they are all able to work towards fulfilling the company role is important. That's why this is called organizational behavior. Okay, so especially if your company have many competitors, okay, and a lot of changes occur very rapidly, you have to make sure that you can adapt to all these changes. If not, you will find that you cannot survive the competition very fast. The company may be eliminated. Especially nowadays, it's longer. You produce one product and then you can sell for a long time. Because of a knowledge-based economy, a lot of products can only appear for a short time because new and better products will be appearing. So things are constantly changed. With a product that is successful, it doesn't mean that it can be successful forever. Okay, the moment you have any successful goods or service, you will find that a lot of competitors will come in with very similar product. And how to make sure your product continue to be attractive so that customers will continue to buy from you is a big challenge. And that is also the role of the management. So this subject called operations management, look at it in a more quantitative sense. That means you have to do your calculation to see how can you run your company and perform the operations in order to be efficient. Okay, that requires you to do some forecasting of how much resources you need, how much output can you produce, changing the design of your product, improving the quality of your product, and then implementing strategy to make sure that you have enough capacity, but not wasting capacity. That even include looking at the location of your company when you sell the product, the location of your company when you produce the product, and how do you plan your company layout. Okay, so all this involving operations management, one of the more quantitative business subject, which you may encounter when you pursue a business qualification. Now, as I mentioned before, it is required by the law to keep track of your transactions because you need to provide all this information to the government. So that means you will need to maintain accounts when you buy resources, when you pay expenses, when you collect revenues, when you sell the products. All this requires you to keep proper record. And therefore, the company need an accountant in order to maintain this style of record. So even though you are a manager, you are not really accountant, it's always good to have some accounting knowledge so that you can actually identify whether is there any problem with the company's transactions with all those records. Okay, so for your business transactions, if there's any unusual activities, it normally is being reflected by the accounting information. So having a good accounting knowledge requires you to understand basic financial statements, and that allows you to make good business decisions backed up by the accounting data and the information provided. Okay, so account itself is a very specialized area, but a broad business qualifications will require you to at least expose to some accounting training. Okay. Now, there are different accounting subjects. Okay, financial accountings look at students in a more fundamental concepts of accounting. Okay, you study the principles of accounting, you study the basic accounting equations involving assets, liabilities, and the shareholders' capital. You learn the double entry concepts. Okay, every transactions they are always enter at 2 and 3. Okay, That's what we call it a double entry concept. Okay, just put it simply, when you buy things, okay, you make the payment, you collect something. So there's always a double entry of the same value. Okay, then you must know what are assets, things that you own which is valuable, liabilities, things that you owe, okay, the loans that you need to pay, or the money that you owe other companies. Okay, that also keep track of all those products you store in the warehouse under an inventory, the tax you need to pay, as well as the auditing that you need to go through. Okay, and this is a requirement by the country. So every company will have to follow this requirement to maintain the accounts. Okay. Now, other than financial account, another type of accounting that you might encounter is called managerial accounting. This is actually more suitable for managers. Okay. So managerial accounting allows you to analyze the accounting information and from there make management decisions. Okay, so you will learn not the basic financial accounting, but the managerial accounting. You will learn how to analyze costs based on the information. You will learn how to do break-even analysis to find out how much revenue you must earn, how much of the product you must sell if you want to cover all your costs and at least break even. And again, if your company is able to make profit, how will you want to generate this profit and how to use this profit? Okay, all this will be captured under the managerial accounting. That's, as I say, more relevant for management level to make decision using accounting information. Now, when you produce a product, you want customers to buy from you. But customer must know that such a product exists in the market. Therefore, how to generate awareness of your product to attract customers to buy from you is called marketing. Okay, so you want customers to buy the product from you, you must in the first way introduce your product to the customer. So there are many different marketing techniques. Different product will need different type of marketing, and with time change, marketing method will also be different. Therefore, you will need to understand the concepts and the techniques involved in the marketing process. Especially nowadays, business environment is complex and changing fast. Okay, in fact, you may have discovered that things that last time we always buy from a physical retail shop now could be more commonly available through the e-commerce platform. Okay, so because of this type of changing in consumers' behavior, when you buy things, instead of visiting the physical shop, now we are more comfortable to buy things online. We order it online and get the products delivered to you. So if you want to sell the thing now, you have to think of how to attract the customers who are actually more comfortable to buy things online rather than to visit a physical shop. Okay? So that requires you to know the marketing techniques. Okay, in fact, sometimes even the same product will require different type of marketing techniques in order to reach the customer base, which could be consisting of different cluster of customers. Therefore, using suitable marketing mix will actually help the business to promote their product successfully so that more customers are aware of the product and might be attracted to buy your product. Okay, you have to keep on attracting the attention of the customer if you want to sustain your business. It's not just a one-off. Okay, so you have to think of how to continue to attract the customers. In fact, a company can only survive if the customers always go back to you to buy the product from you. Okay, so you have to let the customers be attracted to your product, and that require marketing knowledge. Okay, now to start a business, you need working capital, you need money. Okay, most of us rely on savings that we can have or borrow from our parents. But if you need more money than what you can done from your parents or for your own savings, then you have to borrow it from financial institutions or some other financial instruments in order to get the necessary funding. Okay, like to sell a product, you need a space, unless you want to sell it online. But even online, you will need a platform. So you always need money to start a business. Okay, especially you want to produce physical product, you will need machines, you will need workers, you will need raw materials, and all this means money. But where does the money come from? So this subject called finance will expose to you the different possible ways of getting money. Okay, especially if you want to get the money for a short period, where should you go to? How much are you expected to pay? If you want to get the money for a long period, where can you get the money from and how much are you expected to pay? Bear in mind, if you want to borrow money, you must pay the interest. Therefore, is it worth to pay the interest, or even to pay interest, should you get it from this institute or that institute? And is borrowing the only way? Not necessary. You may even sell bonds or sell shares. So look at different financing method. And if you make profit, other than just relying on selling your product, can you use your money to invest in some other way to generate extra revenue for your company? So all this will be covered under finance. Okay, so look at finance not just to provide the funds needed to sustain the business, but also as an investment so that you can have extra revenue from different pathway. But all this require a lot of calculations. Therefore, finance is also one of more quantitative subject where you need to be exposed to numbers, apply formulas in order to get the required value. Okay, so it's an interesting subject, an important subject, but it also requires a good quantitative skills. Okay? So because of this, in order to run the business well, not only you need to know the functions, you also need to be familiar with the supporting areas, which by themselves are not implying that they are less important. They are equally important and they support the main function business activities in the company. Okay, so which are the more common supporting area that you may encounter in the business operations? So this one includes, broadly speaking, communications, quantitative analysis, economics, business law, information technology, not directly linked to any business function, but nevertheless, they are equally important. If you want to run the business function well, you need to have all these supporting areas to back you up. Okay. Now, this, for example, human resource management, that includes you to interact with your staff, interacts with your employee, and interactions is a very huge area. It is a very critical skills, even in today's world. If you're able to communicate effectively, you will find that you can get things done easier. Okay, business operations, you have a lot of parties to interact with. You need to interact with your staff, of course, but don't need that. The supplier will supply the resources to you, your customer. So all this requires you to convey the message, receive the message from the other parties. So in this case, if your communication skill is not good, you either misinterpret the message, or you receive the wrong message, or you convey the wrong message to the other party, it may lead to very severe consequences in the business operation. So communications involve both the oral communications and the writing communications. So a typical business study will require you to go through a good training of communications. Okay, so you will learn the different oral communication skills and written communication skills, and you also have the chance to practice all these skills when you do your presentation of a certain topic during the lessons. Okay, so you will learn the different communication tools such as writing report, writing letters, writing minutes, writing email, and writing memorandums. All these are important business communication channel which you need to be familiar with. Okay, so not just presenting, but also listening. Okay, and present confidently in a public. Okay, so all these are important areas which you need to take note. Okay. Now, you notice that finance require number and accounting definitely require number. In order to get meaningful information from the accounting statements, you need to be familiar with number. So a good business discipline will also include a training on your numbering skills, which we call quantitative analysis. There are actually two broad subject area which involve quantitative skills. And this is mathematics and statistics. Okay. Now, mathematics itself is a very good training of your mind. If you're having good mathematical skills, it will help you to think properly, analyze situations, and likelihood to contribute towards making the correct decision. That's why mathematics is an important area which many universities requires as a compulsory subject before you can even apply to enter a certain discipline. Okay, so a good business qualification will have mathematical training, okay, using business mathematics to train up your problem-solving skills, your analysis skills, and of course, your quantitative skills to become more comfortable with numbers. Okay, so you will learn algebra and perhaps the more advanced calculus techniques, a train of mind. But in this process, you will find that you can make decision better. Okay. Now, other than mathematics, the other area of quantitative training is statistics. Okay. Statistics, to put it simply, is a summary of numbers. Instead of looking at many different numbers, you look at one number to represent the many different numbers. Okay. So let's say you have different profit for the company over different months. So you want to find out what is the profit that can represent all this month. The best representative profit will be an average of all this month's profit. And that is actually part of statistics. Okay. So applying basic statistical skills can help you to analyze situation better and contribute towards making good decision. Okay, so you will learn how to collect sample, how to analyze sample, how to get the summary of the data, and how to make decisions, especially involving different scenarios. Okay, that includes inferences, hypothesis testing, analyze how likely a certain situation will occur using probability. What are the relationships between different activities that involve correlation and regression analysis? So a good statistical analysis skills will normally help you to make decisions better. Okay? Coupled with a good business mathematics skills, you will find that these two skills will help you to not only perform better in certain tasks, it also help you to make the more rational business decisions. Okay, and these are important skills for management level. Now, what is economics? Okay, a lot of business students may not really understand why economics is included, but it is a compulsory subject in almost all business studies. Okay. Now, the reason why this subject is included is because this subject is useful to train you to make decisions. Okay. Broadly speaking, economics is a subject to study how to make decisions under scarcity in order to achieve efficiency and in order to achieve the highest welfare for the decision maker. Okay. The issue here is whenever we want to make decision, we always encounter not enough. Like for example, not enough money to buy all the resources, and therefore, how should we use the money? Not enough time to perform all the tasks. Therefore, how should you allocate the time? Okay, so not enough money to invest in all the areas that are attractive. So how to make decision of which area to invest? All this requires you to have some economics knowledge. Okay, so broadly speaking, economics can be divided into microeconomics and macroeconomics. Okay, microeconomics involve study the individual consumer, individual producer, and individual product. So you look at one thing at a time. Okay, one product, one consumer, one producer, looking at how to make decision to maximize the welfare of the consumer, the producer, and the efficiency of the product. Okay, so the focus of implementing the best strategy to maximize the welfare of the decision maker. So if you are a consumer, how should you spend money to buy which product and buy how many units of each product if you want to maximize your welfare? If you are the producer, how many units of the product should you produce? How much price should you charge if you want to maximize profit? So for this product, how should the market participants behave if they want to maximize their welfare? Okay, is there a way to improve the welfare of the market participants using suitable strategies? All these are studies involving microeconomics. Macroeconomics will want you to combine all the consumers, all the producers, and all the products to study the economy as a whole. Okay, so now your focus is on the entire economy, and you're probably more interested in issues such as what is the output produced by the economy? Normally we call it the gross domestic product. What are the prices of goods and services in the economy? If the prices keep on going up, we call that inflation. Are there many people who are unemployed in the economy? So the unemployment could be a very serious problem to many economies, especially when the economy is not doing well. Then what can the government do to control inflation, to make sure things are not too expensive, to create jobs for the people so that there are lesser people who are unemployed, and to make the country able to produce more output so that growth can improve the standard of living of the people in the country? Plus, how will this economy interact with the rest of the world? All this may have important implication on the business operation. So you study economics, you will know when the government implements certain policy, how will this policy affect you? When you study economics, you will know if your competitor adopt a certain behavior, how will that affect you and what should you do to counter the actions by your competitors? So all these are areas to train under economics. And I have to be very frank, this is normally one of the more challenging subjects in business discipline. Okay? A lot of students find it quite difficult to grasp the economics concept. It's one of the more challenging subjects in a typical business discipline. Now, business law. Why do you need to know business law? After all, you're not a lawyer. True enough, if you need professional legal advice, you will need to approach the expert, the professional lawyer. But for business operator, especially if you're a manager, you need to have some basic business law knowledge. Okay, we are not training you to be a lawyer. That is again a different discipline, just like accounting. We are not training you to be an accountant because there's a discipline by itself. But we want to train you to be a competent manager. In order to be a competent manager, some form of legal knowledge is essential. Because from time to time, you will have to deal with legal documents. If you want to get a supplier to supply the product to you, you need to have a legal contract with the supplier. If you want to hire your worker, again, there is a legal contract with the worker. Even when you sell things to a customer, there could be an implicit contract with some legal obligations between you and the customer. So when you have some legal knowledge, you can again make better decision. You'll be aware of when there is a certain law being implemented, how would that affect your company? And when you perform certain actions or when you adopt certain behavior that interacts with the supplier, interacts with the employee, interacts with the customers, what are the legal implications? What are your rights? Have you violated any rules or regulations when you perform a certain business operations? Okay, so all this requires you to have some basic business law knowledge. Okay, so if you have at least some basic business knowledge, you will know what are the possible legal implications when you carry out certain business activities. And that, again, contributes towards better business management decision making. Okay, so take note that we are not training you to be a lawyer. That itself is a separate discipline. But we train you to be a good manager so that you can analyze the legal documents. You have a good understanding of the country legal system, and therefore you know the possible legal implications of your business operations. Okay, so the topics will include the country legal system. If you're operating in this country, you must know something about the country legal system. But from time to time, you enter contract with your supplier, with your employer, or sometimes even with your customer. So know some contract law, law of agency, law of torts will be useful to a business manager. Now, information technology, computing, IT skills. Why do you need that? Okay. Bear in mind, in business, you want to operate efficiently. And therefore, you're constantly looking for the best process to manage your resources. Okay. And that may require you to make use of information technology, especially nowadays. Because of the information technology revolution, you'll find that a lot of business have certain fundamental change in the way that they perform the business activities. Like last time, we used to send physical letter, but now we send email, which is cheaper, faster, and a lot more effective, because email you can have a lot of attachment and additional variations. Easier to keep track of the record, easier to store, easier to search for information. So email replacing physical mail, okay? Enhance operational efficiency. Likewise, using documents that you can store in the computer instead of physical paper and books. Enhance operational efficiency. Easier to keep, easier to find, and more importantly, cheaper. Okay, so that requires you to make use of information technology to enhance your business activities. Okay, so just give the two examples of using documents stored in computer to replace physical document, using email to replace physical mail. Is already give you the two examples of information technology, not to mention about the using of e-commerce platform to replace physical shop, especially if the rental is very high. In Singapore, renting cost is very, very high. So if you can replace the physical shop with online platform to sell a product, you will be able to save a lot of cost, and that results in higher chance of survival of a company, and of course, higher chance of making profit. Okay. So in a typical business information training, again, we are not training you to become a computing expert. That itself is another discipline. We just need you to have some basic knowledge of information system, computer hardware, software, telecommunications, network, e-commerce, cybersecurity, and some even ethical and societal challenges involving information technology. Okay, so for this type of subject, usually you will have to expose to some hands-on and applications, like you may be asked to design a web page to sell your product, or you may have to really write a certain program to ensure certain business functions can be operated with your program. Okay, so you learn how to manage data using information technology, how to use spreadsheet to organize the information, and from there, how to make decision. Okay, so these are all important areas for survival and enhancing competitiveness of the company. Okay, especially with nowadays in the service sector, information technology is critical. Okay, may not be so relevant to the agricultural sector or perhaps manufacturing sector, but service sector use a lot of information technology, and that having a good training in information technology will in a way contribute towards the competency of a good, successful manager in a business organization in today's business world. Now, with that, this is the end of my presentation. Thank you for your participation. Okay, if there's any questions or answers, okay, I will be glad to provide the answers.
Thank you very much, Dr. Tan.
Yeah.
Thank you. That was very informative presentation, and it feels like studying in Singapore and then at your at your school.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. はい、皆さんありがとうございました。ですね、今ここでプレゼンテーションが、終了しました。もし、質問等ある方はですね、チャットに入れていただくか、アンミュートで、直接ですね、ドクタータンに質問していただいても結構ですので、よろしくお願いいたします。はい、どんな質問でも結構ですので、お願いいたします。 So now I'm just waiting for them to come back to us with a question. Yeah, thank you.
No issue. Because sometimes the students may not really have any questions immediately, but
Yes.
it's perfectly all right. It's okay. This is more for information sharing. Of course, eventually, if there's any other questions, we're also glad to
yes.
provide the communications, and no issue. Because my staff, my colleagues here is always willing to link up with you and your students.
Okay.
Sure.
Yeah, thank you so much. Yeah, I will wait another couple minutes, and if we don't have anything, then we can end this webinar today. 皆様、もしですね、今、すぐに質問とかちょっと、わからないなっていう方もですね、後からもし何かありましたら、弊社 SIUK の方にですね、ご連絡いただければ、SIM の方にですね、連絡することも可能ですので、ぜひね、何か、わからないことある方は、お聞きください。
すいません。先ほどチャットで質問させていただいたんですけども、よろしいでしょうか。
はい、ありがとうございます。
すいません。イギリスの大学とかは MBA でコンバージョンというものがあるって聞いたんですけども、
はい。
コンバージョンのものっていうのはかなり簡単ということでしょうか。
わかりました。ちょっと、質問してみますね。
ありがとうございます。
はい。Okay, we have a question about your MBA course. Is your MBA course kind of like conversion program, or do you require a high level of maybe experience in business studies?
Okay, this one my colleagues Arena might be able to assist. In fact, I saw some reply in the chat box regarding this, because I myself is not handling this Birmingham's program, so I may not have the specific knowledge to reply to the question. But what I hear from this my colleague is that the University of Birmingham MBA program is available at SIM. And then we accept the applicants with a good honors degree, and then with at least 5 years of work experience. Okay, so that will allow the students to join the program. And I will say that University of Birmingham is a very reputed university, so that the training that they provide is really very useful and relevant to the people who want to excel in the corporate world to be a successful managers. And therefore, if the students are able to meet the requirement for the University of Birmingham, I would strongly encourage the students to pursue this qualification.
Okay, thank you so much. I have another question from one of the participants. ですね、シンガポールの大学でビジネスを学ぶ選択肢として、シンガポール国立大学で MBA を学ぶという選択肢と、今回のですね、SIM で学ぶことができると思うんですけど、大きな違い、メリット、デメリットなんだと思いますかというご質問をいただいてます。ありがとうございます。Okay, so this question is asking you about what's the big difference between maybe studying at your school or, MBA, studying MBA at your school or at Singapore National University. What could be a positive outcome for a student from maybe Japan or international students?
Okay, that's a good question, because in Singapore we have the university that is run by the government. Like for example, our National University of Singapore, our Nanyang Technological University, okay, they all provide their MBA training. As for SIM, the institute which I am, we actually partner with the foreign university, such as the University of Birmingham, to provide the master degree. Okay, so what can we say is, if the students study here, it is actually a qualification given by the University of Birmingham. So in terms of the degree level, there's no difference whether they study here or study physically in the United Kingdom, in the University of Birmingham, because the degree is given by the same education institution. Okay, perhaps the difference between the study in the local university and study in the, let's say, University of Birmingham, is that local university will probably emphasize more on local content. So you'll see that the lecturers will use more of local example, to share the students. So a lot of case studies will be more involving the local company. Okay. But for the University of Birmingham, you will be probably use more of a UK example or probably more European example in their case studies, in their analysis. Okay, but broadly speaking, the training of MBA will always cover subjects which are common among all the different institutes. Like it will cover communications, management, marketing, accounting. All this, there might not be a much difference in terms of the approach, because the whatever we institutes teach is always the more relevant areas which are considered as important for the current business operations. Okay, so they always cover the more or less the same subject involving accounting, finance, human resource management, marketing. Okay, so therefore my suggestion is you have to see you read through the curriculum, the syllabus of the institutes that offer, and then you choose one which really cater towards your training. Okay, your interest.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you so much. I'm just gonna answer this in Japanese now.
Okay, sure.
Thank
Okay.
you. はい。先ほどいただいた質問にですね、今、ドクタータンからお答えいただきました。まとめとしましては、やっぱりシンガポール国立大学とかですね、で学ぶ際は、やっぱり政府が、ファンディングをしている大学っていうこともあるのでですね、学位としてはシンガポールの学位、シンガポール国内のですね、の大学で捉えた学位っていうことになるかなと思います。で、またやっぱりローカルの方の大学で学ぶ際にはですね、モジュールの内容がどうしてもやっぱりシンガポールだったりとか、その後東南アジアとかですかね、例ですね、を、出しているようなものが多かったりとかするんですけども、このシムの場合はですね、やっぱりイギリスのユニバーシティオブバーミンガムの学位を取れることであったり、ロンドン大学のですね、学位を取れることっていうのが最大の魅力かなっていうところと、その方がですね、どちらかといえばイギリスだったりとかヨーロッパっていうような感じで、ビジネスの中でも、インターナショナルな、なんですかね、例えっていうのを学校でもですね、どんどん使っているっていうところもいいと思うというふうに今おっしゃっていただきました。で、今、ちょっと円安っていうのもあるので、シンガポールのですね、そういったところで、海外の学位を取るっていうのもですね、大きな魅力の一つかなっていうところですね。なので、推奨されていることとしては、やっぱりモジュールの内容をですね、シンガポール国立大学とかですね、大体シンガポールの、政府関係の、大学、どういった内容になっているのか、それで、ユニバーシティのバーミンガムの方ですね、で、どういった内容を学べるのか、ご自身が一番目標としているところですね、を見ていただくのが一番いいというふうにおっしゃっていただきました。はい。ご質問いただきありがとうございます。Thank you, Dr. Tan.
Thank you.
Yeah. そうですね。では、はい。ちょっと、お時間も近づいてきましたので、本日はですね、これで、一旦終了させていただきたいと思います。もし何かですね、他に、後からですね、ちょっと SIM について、聞きたいってことであれば、弊社 SIUK の方にですね、ぜひ、お問い合わせいただければと思います。Okay, thank you, Dr. Tan. Thank you, Adriana. I think time is running up now, so
Yes.
I'm just gonna finish presentation here today. Thank you for having us. It was a good session, and I hope you enjoyed it as well. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. It's a
Yeah.
pleasure to meet you. Thank
Yeah,
you.
thank
Okay.
you.
Okay,
Thank
okay.
you.
Stop.
Bye.
Bye.